Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to my fellow audience. My name is Adlina binti SUHAIMI and I am excited and honored to be hosting this seminar because I feel that this topic deserves a huge attention, which is environmental management accounting. Thank you for joining us for today. I welcome you all once again to the seminar and hope you all have a great day ahead. Alright, so here are our brilliant presenters for today. The first one is Adlina, your host for today. The next panelist is NASUHA, HUSNA NASREEN, Sophia, and AIMAN NADHIRAH. They are all from different companies, from different departments. It is a great honor that all of these different amazing people are willing to spend their precious time with us today. Alright, I will now start our seminar with introduction of Environmental Management Accounting, EMA. There are many alternatives definitions, but EMA could broadly define as the identification, collection, analysis, and use of two types of information for internet decision making. In simple words, EMA basically means identifying environmental problems and solutions that improve both economic and environmental performance. The advantage of EMA is better product pricing, cost saving, optimal use of resources, increased shareholder value, have a cleaner production, and improved reputation and corporate image. With all those advantages, of course, there are disadvantages as well, but not as many as the advantage, to the point where the cons could outweigh the pros. The disadvantages are: environmental accountings have no economic value, lack of accounting standards for environmental accounting, and the methods of estimating are imperfect and often misleading. Alright, now that we've understand what is EMA, so without further ado, I welcome our first presenter, Ms. Sophia, to give her sharing and thoughts on the issues of EMA and actions taken by company regarding this EMA.
Hello everybody, I am Sophia binti Mahmud AFZAL. I am the marketing department of the company PepsiCo. Today, I will be speaking on the environmental issues that is associated with Panasonic. First of all, Panasonic is a company that produces electronic items such as air conditioning, refrigerators, and televisions. These items are used by almost everyone nowadays, and it actually contributes to environmental issues such as the emission of carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is a colorless gas that can be harmful to humans and to the environment. Electronics in the cooling industry, like the air conditioner and refrigerators, emits a lot of carbon dioxide. Panasonic emits around 2.2 million tons of carbon dioxide per year, and around 86 million tons of carbon dioxide per year when the electronics are being used by consumers. The cooling process involves releasing heat outside, either outside the electronic or outside the building. This contributes to global warming, making the earth feels hotter. It raises the earth's temperature, which can have an impact on the food, water supplies, sea level, and also weather patterns. In producing their products, Panasonic is also responsible for soil and groundwater contamination. In conducting their activities, a lot of water has been consumed and wasted. The contamination of the soil and groundwater happened when chlorinated organic solvent was detected at Panasonic site. This solvent takes a long time to break down in water or soil, thus it can interrupt the ecosystem. It is also harmful to humans as it can cause breathing problems and also rashes. Panasonic also uses different types of chemical substances in producing their products. These chemical substances, when released, can be dangerous to humans and environment. The workers at factories are at risk of exposing themselves to these harmful substances. With all of these issues, Panasonic has taken its own initiative to reduce their environmental issues. One of the simpler ways is to resolve environmental issues is just by complying with environmental regulations. Panasonic makes sure to comply with all the laws and regulations. Panasonic evaluates their compliance on the chemical substance management, energy efficiency, 3R, and recycling. An example of the regulation is Soil Contamination Countermeasures Act. There are also regular inspections that are being conducted for the purchased components. This is to make sure the compliance with the regulations. Other than that, Panasonic is also involved in conducting anti-contamination activity. In 1991, Panasonic has constructed a manual for preventing soil and groundwater contamination. Later in 1995, Panasonic has stopped using chlorinated organic solvent in their products. They also conducted a guidelines on the prevention of environmental pollution. A responsible team will come to the bases to conduct inspections, survey, interviews on how they manage their activities. Next, in order to help the reduction of carbon dioxide, Panasonic has come up with Panasonic Environmental Vision 2050. This vision is made with hopes to greatly reduce the emission of carbon dioxide. One of Panasonic's goals is to actually switch customers from using normal electronics to using products that are energy saving, as they do not want to pass on society's ills to the next generation. Panasonic comes up with product revelation like how they come up with RE100 solutions which can power energy consumption with using 100% renewable energy. Panasonic also took an initiative to produce the Panasonic ROKIAH hot water heater, which uses minimal power and emits lower carbon dioxide as compared to the normal water heater. Lastly, Panasonic will try to minimize the impact of chemical substances. Since October 2005, Panasonic has launched a campaign throughout each production process. The campaign is called Do Not Accept, Do Not Use, Do Not Ship. There is a mechanism to check whether any chemical substance are present in the components. Panasonic has come up with a way to reduce the chemical substances, and that is by introducing Chemical Substances Management Rank Guidelines. These guidelines contains which chemical substances that are prohibited and which are the managed chemical substances.
Thank you, Miss Sophia, for the wonderful sharing. Now, to our second panelist, we would like to know what are the impacts of EMA on the management account. Miss Alia, would you mind sharing your thoughts to the audience?
Hi and Assalamualaikum. Me Adlina binti YUSOFF from Accounting Department of Panasonic. Before I go further, I want to say thank to Miss Adlina for giving me a golden opportunities to express my views, ideas on this topic. First, let me explain the meaning of management account. Management accounts are financial reports produced for the business owners and managers, generally monthly or quarterly, normally a profit and loss report and a balance sheet. In principle, they are similar to year-end account but are less formal and are personalized to the user requirement. Nearly all aspects of business are affected by environmental pressure, including accounting. But environmental behavior may have a real adverse impact on the business and its finance. Punishment includes fines, increased liability to environmental tax, loss in value of land, restriction of brand values, loss of sales, consumer boycotts, inability to secure finance, loss of insurance cover, contingent liabilities, lawsuits, and damage to corporate image. The initial pressure were felt in external reporting, including environmental disclosure in financial reports and or the production of separate environmental accounts. For example, if Panasonic discharge of any waste into the atmosphere without license, fine not exceeding Rm100,000 or imprisonment for a period not exceeding 5 years or both, and further fine not exceeding 100,000 ringgit a day for every day that the offence is continued after a notice by the Director General requiring him to kiss the specific therein has been served upon him. It will be affect the management account of Panasonic. Management accounting techniques can distort and misrepresent environmental issues, leading to managers making decisions that are bad for business and bad for the environment. Organizations are unaware of the impact on profit and loss account and the balance sheet impact of environmental related activities. If management accounting as a discipline is to contribute to improving the environmental performance of organization, then it has to change. Environmental management accounting is an attempt to integrate best management accounting thinking and practice.
Thank you, Miss Alia, for your amazing input. Now, Miss Husna, what do you think would be the impact of EMA to the cost, and what are the characteristics of management accounting?
Thank you, Adlina, for the question. Okay, impact to the cost. As we all know, most business activities have environmental impacts. Almost all environmental impacts also have business costs, such as consuming raw materials, using utilities such as water and energy, and generating waste. Environmental management accounting uses standard accountancy methods to identify, analyze, manage, and reduce these costs in a way that can benefit both the business and the environment. In addition to financial costs, you can use environmental management accounting to identify other issues such as non-compliance, negative public relations, and health and safety problems. The process also enables you to identify which activities have the biggest environmental impacts and costs. This enables managers to set goals and priorities for managing these activities and reducing their impact. With management accounting, it can controlling and reducing business costs and increasing profits. Why I say so? It is because the accountant have the necessary skills and experience to monitor, measure, and control costs. The accountant also can manage information systems so that the outputs are accurate and reliable. Next, they also can identify and plan in financial budgets for improvement projects and help formulate and implement strategy, provide highly regarded advice. Environmental management accounting offers an opportunity for accountants to develop the services they offer beyond the traditional core activities. Two accounting skills are particularly relevant are costing and investment. The first one is costing. It is essential that the environmental costs of products and services are understood and allocated properly so that they can be managed and prices set at an appropriate level. Next is investment appraisal of projects. Accountants have an important role to play in ensuring that all relevant environmental costs are considered in project proposals. For example, Panasonic's accountant need to monitor, measure, and control the costs and manage information systems so that the outputs are accurate and reliable. This will help a company reduce costs and earn high profits. So, that's all how the environmental management accountant impact to the cost. Management accounting information should comply with a various number of characteristics, including verifiability, objectivity, timeliness, comparability, reliability, understandability, and relevance, if it is to be useful in planning, control, and decision making. The first characteristic of management accounting information are verifiability. Verifiability means observable to outsiders in the context of a model of information. It refers to the ability of accountants to ensure that accounting information is what it purports to be. It also means that the selected method of measurement has been used without error or bias. The outsiders cannot see them, and so references to those variables in a contract between the two parties cannot be enforced by outside authorities. The second characteristic is objectivity. Objectivity is also one of the characteristics that are useful in planning and making decisions. Accountant reliance on verifiable evidence such as delivery notes, invoice, orders, physical counts or paper in the measurement of financial result. Objectivity makes it possible to compare financial statements of different firms with an assurance of reliability and uniformity. For instance, management accountants should not alter or change when provide the information to top-level managers so that the manager can make the accurate decision without being influenced. Besides that, timeliness is one of the important parts for management may need to balance the relative merits of timely reporting and the provision of reliable information. More accurate information may take longer to produce. Therefore, to provide information on a timely basis, it may often be necessary to report before all aspects of transaction or other events are known, thus impairing reliability. The next characteristic of management accounting information will be comparability. Comparability helps to compare the financial statements of an entity through time in order to identify trends in its financial position and performance. Besides that, it also helps to compare the financial statements of different entities in order to evaluate their relative financial position, performance, and changes in financial position. Next, reliability is the quality of information that allows those who use it to depend on it with confidence. The reliability of an item is the probability that the item will perform a specified function under specified operational and environmental conditions at and throughout a specified time. The best way to specify the reliability of an item depends upon how the item is expected to function. Here, our focus among the above four times is on the interval and continuous time demand cases. In the interval case, we are concerned with mission reliability or simply reliability. This is defined as the probability that an item will operate without failure throughout a specified interval. The next criteria of management accounting is understandability. Understandability is assumed users to have a reasonable knowledge of business and economic activities and accounting and a willingness to know more the information with reasonable diligence. Information about complex matters that should be included in the financial statements because of its relevance to the economic decision-making needs of users should not be excluded merely on the grounds that it may be too difficult for certain users to understand. And the last criteria is relevance. Relevance is also one of the important parts in planning, control, and decision-making. To be useful, information must be relevant to the decision-making needs of users. Information has the quality of relevance when it influences the economic decisions of users by helping them evaluate past, present, or future events or confirming or correcting their past evaluations. So that's all of the characteristics of the management accounting.
Alright, thank you Ms. Husna. Well, now we know more about costs involved in EMA and the characteristics of management accounting. And I am glad that the management accounting also help in controlling and reducing the costs. Lastly, I would like to invite Ms. NADHIRAH, our last presenter for today, to give her answers on what are the benefits and limitations of EMA. We also would like to know more what are the benefits of EMA to the other party rather than the company itself.
Thank you, Ms. Adlina, for this question given. Now I will explain to you guys what is a benefit and limitation of the environmental management accounting that has been implemented by the company or benefit to others than the company itself. Environmentalism is a key social responsibility. In recent years, pollution has been a major cause of environmental degradation. It's global. It affects human health, economic productivity, and amenities. Environmental accounting is growing. Now let us see the benefits of environmental management accounting. The first one is describe the use of natural resources. Environmental accounting is helpful in representing in a transparent manner the utilization of the nation's natural resources, the cost incurred to utilize them, and the income earned therefrom. This can be accomplished through the use of environmental accounting. The second one is a corporate social responsibility. Accounting for the environment provide a means of qualifying the contribution made by a variety of corporation or business toward meeting their respective social responsibility. And lastly is environmental protection. A commercial enterprise does not exist in isolation. It takes the support of social and ecological system to maximize wealth. Environmental accounting is in determining the extent to which a business has used environmental resources. In any case, it must be demonstrated that a commercial enterprise does not contaminate, pollute, or endanger the environment in the course of its operation. In fact, several laws has been enacted in our country to protect the environment. Now let us see limitation of environmental management accounting. The current national accounting format does not provide the full economic value of environmental resources. The following are some restrictions. The first one is environmental costs that are not recognized. According to the current system of national accounting, the data on expenditure that were incurred to protect the environment or prevent the degradation of the environment cannot be separated from one another. The second one is non-commercial goods and services. The environmental provides certain high-value goods that are not sold in the market. This may include firewoods, forest-derived building materials, medical plants, and so on. Some countries does not include this item in their national account. They do, however, compute the marketable value of comparable product and use it as basis for valuing non-marketed goods and services. And lastly is a utilization of natural capital. In the system of national accounts, depreciation is the gradual loss of value of things like plants and equipment. But the loss of the natural capital, especially forests, is seen as income. This seems like a strange way to do things. It will be right to handle the loss of natural capital in the same way that physical assets are lost. Now I will tell you about the true perspective on the benefit of environmental management accounting that has been implemented. Decision makers in the organization can use the physical flow and cost information provided by the environmental management accounting, which is EMA, to make a decision that affect both organization environmental and financial performance. Both private business and government agencies stand to the benefit. The first one, we will see the benefit of EMA to the industry. First, the capacity to keep better tabs on and manage the consumption of energy and material, including the amount of pollution and waste produced in various forms, and its unlimited destination. The second one is the capability of identifying, estimating, allocating, and managing or reducing costs, particularly those associated with the environment, with a greater accuracy. Now let us see the benefit to the government of EMA implementation by the industry. The first one is the greater reliability of the industry to justify environmental programs through the financial self-interest, the lower the financial, political, and other burdens of environmental protection on the government. The second one is the industry adoption of EMA should improve the effectiveness of existing government policy or regulation by revealing to the business the true environmental costs and benefits associated with those policy or regulation. And lastly, we will see the benefit of government implementation of environmental management accounting. The first one is a data from the government's EMA can be used for the environmental decision as well as other decisions pertaining to government's operations such as purchasing, capital budgeting, and environmental management system in federal facility. Lastly, data from the government EMA can be utilized to calculate and report various metrics regarding the financial and environmental performance of government operation. Now I will show you the example of the environmental management accounting of Panasonic PhD. In order to mainly manufacture and market electric and electronic products, Panasonic consumes petroleum and electricity as energy sources and resources as a raw material of a part and a component. As a result, we emit O2 and waste into the environment. This diagram maps the environmental impact from our business operation from a procurement stage to recycling activity. Also, GHG throughout the entire supply chain is classified into Scope 1, Scope 2 and Scope 3 and assessed according to GHG protocol, the international calculation standard. Now let us see continued process. And lastly, here are the overview of environmental impact from business operation in Panasonic PhD. This is example of environmental accounting Panasonic. Panasonic globally collect data on its environmental conservation costs and economic benefit obtained through its environmental activity in relation to generate or control environmental impact. This data is internally utilized as a basic information for our continued environmental sustainability management. You can see the image on this slide.
Thank you, Ms. NADHIRAH, for the explanation. Now that the last presenter have given her talk, is there any of you that would like to add something before I conclude this whole seminar?
I would like to share briefly what EMS is. Environmental Management System. Environmental Management System is a framework that helps an organization achieve its environmental goals through consistent review, evaluation, and improvement of its environmental performance. EMS helps an organization address its regulatory requirement in a systematic and cost-effective manner. To implement an EMS in an organization, 4 steps need to be taken. First, environmental planning. Second, implementation and operation. Third, checking and corrective action. Fourth, management analysis. First is environmental planning. Planning is one of the most important stages in the process of building and implementing an EMS. For this, the following must be determined: the organization environmental policy, environmental matters, legal procedures, and other requirements, general objective and specific targets, environmental management program. Second, implementation and operation. For an effective implementation of the environmental management system, it is recommended for the organization to develop resource and support mechanism necessary to perform environmental policy, objective and targets in the domain. For the implementation of an EMS, the following must be defined: structure and accountability, training and awareness, documentation of the EMS, document control, operational control, prevention, emergency preparedness and response capacity. Third, checking and corrective action. This step is a key element of the environmental management system, which comes after planning and implementation of the environmental policy. The aim is to ensure that the organization control and correct, where appropriate, key element of the environmental management system. Therefore, it is recommended for the organization to monitor and evaluate its environmental performance. This stage involves monitoring and measurement, non-conformity, corrective action, and preventive action, recording, report, environmental management system audit, internal and external. Fourth, management analysis. This last step is crucial for ensuring continuous improvement to achieve the proposed environmental performance. This analysis can be made with the analyst quality management system done by the leadership. Therefore, the environmental management system (EMS) is a structure, a framework in which the activities of organization can integrate in order to identify, measure, and effectively control the risks and their impact on the environment.
Thank you so much, Ms. Alia, for your sharing on environmental management system. From this seminar, we can conclude that EMA basically supports managers to make better decisions by informing them about environmental impacts of an organization and about environmental issues that influence the organization. And last but not least, EMA main focus is on provision of information for managerial decision making. Ladies and gentlemen, Now our seminar has finally come to an end. Before we proceed to Q&A session, I would like to share a quote from a famous professor from economic sociology, Professor Guy McPherson. He said, "If you think the economy is more important than the environment, try holding your breath while counting your money." Think about that.